I think we can all get settled. We should start the session on time. And we have a very rich session, very important topics, very good discussion we hope to have on this. Welcome all for this uh, first session, and that's about the investment opportunity in Indian seed sector. Uh, we have one, two, three, four, five speakers, and all very important topics. So, first of all, I would like to welcome everyone to APSA Seed Congress, and I think we have got to a very good start, and we hope to keep the momentum going for the rest of the week. Um, I would request the speakers to be on time. I think that's one of the requests I had from the organizers, that we need to manage time because we have to finish uh, by 5 o'clock. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our first speaker, Dr. M. Prabhakar Rao. He's the CMD of Nezividu Seeds and President of NSAI. Sir, please.
Good afternoon. So we had a wonderful inauguration, a very nice lunch. So I hope my talk will be interesting after enjoying the good meal. Hope you are not very sleepy about after the food. My topic is investment opportunities and status of Indian field crop seed industry. The Indian seed industry is growing rapidly with a 10 to 12% growth rate and valued at 400 billion with a revenues of about 5 billion on the back of rapid expansion of seed replacement rates in the cereals, pulses, oil seeds, and also in the crops like corn, cotton, rice, millet, mustard, and vegetable crops where hybrids play a big role. Interestingly, the seed replacement rate of cereals like rice and wheat also is growing quite well. Currently, the seed replacement rates are around 40 to 50% in many states. The growth is also happening in agriculture due to the mechanization because of the labor shortages and expansion of the hybrids in many crops, higher input use, and variety replacements which are becoming necessary due to the climate challenges and climate resilient crops. The seed sector in India is a very fertile ground for investment and innovation in variety development, trade development due to evolving industry dynamics and IPR protection. We are having a very robust IPR system for the plant varieties. Now, the authority has also started a dialogue with the industry and the farmers to make further improvements in this enactment, where we are also discussing about a possible protection to the traits which are coming out of the investments by the seed industry. Current crop landscape, the crops like maize, there is a huge expansion in the acreage because of the ethanol blending program. And the area has expanded to almost 13 million plus hectares in the last 4 or 5 years due to the increased demand for corn in the country. Similarly, we have hybrids adoption happen very rapidly in mustard, in millet, sorghum, sunflower, etc. In case of rice, though this variety replacement and seed replacement both are encouraging, but the growth of the hybrids is not so rapid. It is growing at a very steady pace. The future opportunities in rice are likely to happen, likely to come to the industry through the DSR, direct sown rice, which is very important for saving the water and also enhancing the nutrient efficiency. In the crops like wheat, pulses, and oilseeds, we still supply the open pollinated varieties, but because of the high SRR that is done by the farmers, the markets are expanding quite rapidly. The encouraging procurement system that is put in place by the government for these crops encourages the farmers to invest more in seeds, and also the convenience of buying seeds instead of going for the farm save seeds. The farmers are nowadays coming back to the shops to buy quality seeds from the shops because of the convenience to store the seeds at their home. Many times the germination can go down, the vigor can come down, so therefore the farmers are preferring to come back to the shops and buy the seeds from the seed companies. The growth is also happening because of variety development. The seed companies are investing in R&D. As we discussed in the morning, some of the companies who are focused on R&D are investing between 5 to 10% on research, and these investments, coupled with technologies like marker-assisted biddings, double haploid, gene editing, etc., these are creating varieties at a faster pace, which is opening up opportunities for the seed companies. So these are the growth drivers. I already explained about them: mechanization, input intensity, irrigation. A lot of areas under irrigation are expanding in our country, which is very need of the hour. Then climate resilient cultivars, innovation that is already happening. These things are all the growth drivers for the industry. So these are the strategic investment areas. As I mentioned, the many crops, the hybrids already they are fully saturated in crops like millet, mustard, corn, etc. But rice, if we invest more, come up with better hybrids which meet the quality expectations of the consumers, the market can further increase. Many of the vegetables also this possibilities is there. Climate smart cultivars, herbicide tolerant traits. This is becoming very important. In rice, we already have a herbicide resistant trait which has come from the public sector. Also, some of the friends in the private sector are also bringing the herbicide tolerant traits which are non-GM. And there seems to be a very good interest among the farmers to use this trait. In future, herbicide tolerant traits are expected to come from gene editing in crops like wheat, rice, cotton, etc. There is also a GM trait waiting approval in cotton for herbicide resistance. So these are the strategic investment areas which can further drive the growth of the seed industry. Pest resilient varieties, we have BT cotton already, but there is a need for the farmers to have resistance for the pink bollworm, about which the Honorable Minister also mentioned in the morning. So as and when such kind of a trait comes, there's going to be a huge jump in the sale of such seeds having the pink bollworm resistance. Similarly, resistance breeding in other crops through conventional methods for many pests like fall armyworm in case of maize, in BPH in case of rice also can help the industry to grow further. So these are the processes which we all know, the breeding and the processing innovations. So many companies who are investing into R&D heavily, they are all using these new advanced breeding techniques for speed and precision breeding, using double haploids, rapid generation advancements, and genomic selection platforms. The gene editing, particularly the SGN1 and the SGN2 edits, are declared as non-GM, and commercialization can be fast-tracked in case you are achieving some good traits, good agronomic traits by using this gene editing process. This will further enhance the variety replacement rates and seed replacement rates. Though the cotton HT trade is awaiting approval for many years now, the industry is hopeful that the new trades, including the pending HT trade, will be approved soon, and new BT trades giving resistance to pink bollworm also will be approved soon. In other crops also, there are discussions regarding bringing many GM trades into India. Industry is hopeful that government will come out more clearly about the intentions about releasing more GM trades in other crops in the future. We have high quality seed testing labs in the country. Many companies are also having seed testing laboratories with ISTA accreditation, so as the testing becomes quite reliable and repeatable. These are the aspects related to seed distribution. The government is introducing the Sati portal for seed traceability and trackability using latest IT tools. This also can encourage the farmers to consume higher amount of quality seeds, because we expect the spurious seeds sellers will be out of the market due to such measures. QR code based authentication, the industry and government are working on this. We want to provide this QR code based authentication and also provide several economic inputs to the farmers based on the QR code scanning. And similarly, the industry is also launching loyalty programs to the distribution channel, which are also backed by some of the IT platforms. And all these things will lead to enhanced supply chain transparency. We also believe, many of the industry leaders here, we all believe in India that a lot of South-South cooperation possibilities exist between the companies in countries which fall in the southern hemisphere. Indian seed industry has been quite focused on the domestic market all these years, but now with the capabilities that we have developed in crop breeding, as well as incorporating the new technologies of breeding, gene editing, etc., we will be also able to collaborate with many other countries in Africa, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, to ultimately provide better varieties to the farmer, which will make the farmers earn higher profits and grow the crops facing the climate change situations. The PPFR Act is under implementation in our country for almost 2 decades, and very good learnings we all had from the several case laws that are getting built gradually. We are sure that with the dynamic leadership we have in the authority, Dr. Mahapatra is also here, and he has started several new ideas, new administrative reforms, which are fast tracking the variety registration and helping the industry protect its investments in the IPR. So the summary of what I said is that the technological innovation, new variety development, and climate resilience are key drivers of growth in India's seed industry. Indian industry offers tremendous opportunities. Modernization and hybridization of distribution channels are reshaping the seed sector and can continue high growth rate in the future as well. Seed companies, technology providers who can provide traits or tools for designer breeding, etc., and biologicals for seed treatments, they all can collaborate to capitalize on emerging opportunities. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I forgot.
Thank you so much, sir, for a very insightful presentation. Now I invite Rajveer Rathi for the investment opportunities in sector, the technological advances. Rajveer is the co-chairman of FSI and Director Agri Affairs Policy in Biocrop Science.
Thanks, Sevendra. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Dr. Mahapatra, Chairman, PPVFRA, Dr. D.K. Yadav, Deputy Director General, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, senior office bearers of APSA, NSAI, FSAI. I can see colleagues from CropLife Asia as well, and fellow seed men and women. Thank you for that opportunity to share some of the thoughts where the investment opportunity does exist. And that's where I'll just try to focus on where India, which is a country of abundance, we have heard in the morning, can provide or is continuously offering the huge opportunities when it comes to the technological advancement. I know it's repetitive. Apologies for that, but many a times repeating the good statistics becomes really important just to have an overall picture that what's the basis of what we are saying and what we are inviting the companies who are already being present over there, the new companies who wants to visit to invest in those sectors. And that's where these fundamentals, the basic things becomes really, really important if you look at it about it. The seed sector size, Prabhakar Rao ji had just mentioned over there. But I think one of the key important point is the agroclimatic zone. And we heard in the morning that where India can offer a huge opportunity when it comes to the export of the seed because of agroclimatic zone, skilled manpower, the cost competitiveness, and so on and so forth. And I think people sitting in this room knows all about it, what I'm talking about. The when it comes to the farmer, I think the 85% are small and marginal. And that's where technological advancement can serve the unmet needs, be it fighting the new invasive pest, but we have seen Falar Mimam long back. 2 years back, we have seen black thrip in an onion, and it's not going to stop over here. We don't know what next. And that's where technological innovation really helped to invest in some of the areas which I'll just come upon to serve these farmers so that they continue to find agriculture remunerative and able to feed every single person on the earth. Now, look at the current situation today when it comes to the R&D investment. And in the morning, I think Ajay mentioned that if you compare the sector, I think seed sector, the companies are still investing on the higher side, close to 10% on an average. If you look at it, can vary from 6 to 15% over there. And this has a significance that the people in this room and outside believe that the investment in agriculture and seed sector is crucial for not just for today, but for future also, that how we make it climate changes immune, not immune, but at least to a certain extent to absorb the shock which might come up from either high temperatures, low temperatures, drought, excessive rain, and you name a lot of things over there. And that's where to reap the benefit of that, that's where the private sector role along with the partnership becomes really crucial. And if you heard rightly, our Honorable Agriculture Minister in the morning, he made a very clear, very good point, saying that if private sector is testing their hybrids, why can't we look at what the data says? It will really help in reducing the time to make available the new seed, new genetics, new technology to the farmers, rather than waiting or having it some sort of a duplication over there. So that's really shows that how receptive the government is opening up in terms of working together when it comes to the partnership, not just global seed companies and Indian seed companies, but also global and Indian seed companies, how they partner with the public sector in terms of assessing and identifying the outcome-based investment into research. Now, let me come to the next slide, which is really important, and I think which we as an association put it together for this particular session. What are the different areas where the investment it's already happening? I'm not saying that we are not investing. We do investing, but still there is an opportunity exist. And the first one, the biotech and the genomic application in the crops. This has been well covered by Mr. Prabhakar Rao, the previous speaker, where he talked about that what different areas where you can continue to invest or enhance the further investment. Genome editing, I think that's being talked since morning, and Honorable Agriculture Minister put lot of efforts that it's being developed by public sector. But how in a public-private partnership, by putting more efforts, by putting more research for different crops, can be taken forward in a public-private partnership over there. Biofertilizer, biopesticides, I know these are the tools which always protect the genetic potential of any seed you put into the ground. So this is also another area that is seed, which seed companies develop it. It has a genetic potential to provide that yield which it is capable of. But you need to have the fertilizers from the plant nutrition. You need to have a lot of biopesticides. You need to have a lot of enablement during the initial stage of establishment of the seed over there, so that the full genetic potential can be harnessed over there. Seed technology, advancement and processing, that's really crucial. Like, if you look at, I'm sure some of you might be going, and you're already aware that how in Asian continent, how the seed transportation, distribution, and storage happens, even at a dealer distributor level. So this is another area where you can invest more, whether it's a processing, whether it's transportation, in such a manner that the vigor, the quality remains intact till it reaches its final journey of getting into the ground before it germinates over there. Digital, of course, there are a lot of areas which are there. Some of them has been already talked by Mr. Prabhakar Rao. But I want to just touch upon the remote sensing and the tech imaging, which is really, really important. Because in small time, you can assess that what's the weather parameters changing and how it can translate into either development of new disease, insects, pests, and so on and so forth. Of course, talking about the utilized or the traditional crops in terms of especially the millets, and Honorable Agriculture Minister also talked about in the morning. Just let me share, millet is just not a grain crop. If you go to the western part, southern part, where these are being grown, this is such an important crop because it does provide fodder for the animals. And animals contribute significantly to the farmer's income. Besides providing the nutrition, either it's through milk or any other animal product. So it's just not from the grain point of view, but also from the additional income which comes through the animal husbandry with the farmer. Public-private partnership in R&D. There are a lot of examples which does exist in terms of complementing what comes from the public goods, public research over there, and that's where the private sector can take it forward in terms of its commercial success if it is there, based on the length and breadth of its presence over there. Export-oriented seed production, and that's area which I have already touched upon, which is really crucial, where India can play a significant role. Of course, the agri startup, I think that's a buzzword. We have seen thousands of such people. Some are really successful, some are partially successful. But I think it's also important that what are the main reasons of not getting too much successful over there, and that's where how collectively we can help them. Now, to make it happen, what is essentially required? So these are the 4 or 5 things which is essentially needed when it comes to the seed, because the external environment will not wait, whether we develop or we wait for develop, or the final decision is taken by the regulators and so on and so forth. And that's where the science and data-based decision-making process in a predictable manner is crucial. I'm not just talking about India, but I think it's applicable to every place where agriculture is being practiced and where we are operating. Second, of course, public-private partnership, greater level to the outcome-based, not just an academic, not just on the optics side of it, but it should be really outcome-based and should not be seen as a repetitive, that too many people are working. So the main point is that instead of working in parallel, can we work together? And that's where the outcome-based things lead to finally. The third point is really important. I think it comes for discussion every time. I know there are a lot of standing committees, not just in EPSA, it's at a global level when it comes to the export rules, germplasm exchange, phytosanitary standards, which are really important, not just to hamper, but also just to ensure that how we can regulate by preventing unnecessary introduction of any disease, but just to be aware of it and taking a final value-based decision on that. The last part, I'll leave it to Dr. Mahapatra because he's much more learned than me when it comes to the enforcement of intellectual property right, which is there. In conclusion, if I can, bring in some of the point which you have heard in the inaugural session, 4 things I have just, assessed what it means. If you ask me, can you summarize or what's your take in the morning? One, the government is very receptive and open. You have heard Agriculture Minister saying that please come, share your, concerns on how we can address together. The second word, which was very clear, is that where we can improve upon, where he talked about that if it is taking 5 years today to introduce any variety, can we also accept and acknowledge the data on the agronomic side of it developed by the private sector? And third is how we can work together, not just working in parallel, but how we can work together. With this, thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajveer, and thanks to both the speaker for saving some time for us, actually. And I think we would like to use that time in the end for question and answers. I think that will be a good opportunity. I now invite Dr. Venkatram Vasanthavada. He is the MD and CEO of Seedverse International and has a very interesting topic to say, fastest growing seed market and what are the opportunities unlimited here. Thank you. Venkat.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, APSA, for the opportunity. So I think both the earlier speakers, Dr. Prabhakar Rao and Mr. Rajveer, have covered crops and the technologies in which the opportunity is there. I would also more or less talk about it, but go a little more granular in also showcasing some of the companies which have invested and the benefits they have reaped in. So bet on Bharat, the investment potential in the Indian seed sector. So this is a slide, the information, some of you would be knowing it, but to just recap, we would be the world's third largest economy, 78 to 82 million households with annual income of greater than $12,000, 1.1 billion internet users, 400 million online shoppers, and 70% smartphone penetration, implications of which are also felt in the rural side when we actually, do the advocacy with the farmers around this. Indian agriculture, these are statistics which all of you would have already read or heard about it, but some of these things to just put in perspective. 18% to the GDP and employs 50% of the workforce. So agriculture continues to be one of the most important pillars for our economy. The average growth rate, I think, around 5%, and it is expected to grow to $1 to $1.5 trillion by 2035 from the current $650 billion in 2024. So in a space of roughly around 11 years, we are almost talking about doubling it. Structural advantage because of the macroeconomic indicators, positive. Youth, we have a huge advantage of a demographic dividend. Large and growing consumer base. I think this is very, very, advantageous to India because most of it we also consume here. Manufacturing cost advantage. Some of us who are into the seed production and who are also exporting would also understand this. A large workforce and a huge cost advantage. Competitive cost of production. Lowest cost of production for rice and maize, and the second lowest for sugars. We have the largest digital public infrastructure in the world, and obviously we have a very high investment in innovation. Now, this is very, very important, and this is a very unique thing about India. Farmer operates as entrepreneurs. So the land is owned by the farmers, unlike in most of the other countries, at least we see, especially in Africa and other parts, where actually the state owns the land. Farmers are the real entrepreneurs. They manage the land, they manage the capital, and they take the risk. And Indian farmer has always been very resilient. and was very open to innovation and new technologies. And obviously, there are enough and more examples around it. We are the fastest growing seed powerhouse. I think this has been already spoken about. 180 million hectares of arable land, diverse agroclimatic zones. You have also heard the speakers in the morning talk about it, 15 agroclimatic zones. So we have an opportunity for unmatched scalability across value chains. The Indian seed market, I think the fifth largest in the world, uh, expected to grow at a CAGR of 6%, $5 billion by 2030. And vegetable seeds, the fastest growing seed segment, expected to reach around $970 million from the current 740. And we account for 2% of the world seed trade, while our ambition is to set a target of around 10%. This is the other aspect, apart from the financial statistics, the socio-economic impact, employment, 100,000 jobs, women-led, farmer empowerment, both in terms of multiplication and access, higher incomes, plus 69 present profit, seed villages, export potential, a global seed hub, hybrid adoption. I think the speakers earlier have spoken about it. Productivity drivers, 15 to 45%, and obviously the market growth. So I think the Indian seed sector, apart from being an economic growth engine, has also been a great social, enabler. The key growth drivers, obviously the population is to reach 1.6 billion by 2050. So there would be a very, very high pressure on food production. Need for high yielding pest and disease resistant seeds to ensure food security. Productivity, I think we also heard in the morning, government's push on productivity enhancement, poverty reduction, doubling farmers' income. So these are the different themes which are playing. And obviously, the revision of several old policies and regulatory frameworks are underway. I think we have Dr. Tirlochan Mahapatra and Dr. D.K. Yadava, who have been in the forefront, pushing some of these with times to keep in space with this. Technological advancement, we have a strong focus on research, innovation, and quality to meet the global demand. We spoke about biotech, genomics, and advanced breeding tools. Obviously, everybody now talks about climate change impact. So investment in climate resilient and stress tolerant seeds. Digital agriculture is going to be a very big thing, especially in India with the kind of internet penetration we have. And obviously, we are also talking about precision farming, smart farming, different other things. We have also seen a huge change in the farmers' buying behavior. The farmers' preference for superior and high-yielding varieties continues. Any new technology in seed industry has been quickly embraced and adopted by the Indian farmers, though most of them are small and marginal. So they understand the power of technology, they understand the benefits of it, and I think they make a very rational and wise decision. Seed replacement rate, we have heard about it, how the farmers are moving from a farm-saved seed to a packed seed. It can be a varietal seed or it can be high-yielding hybrid seeds. And obviously driving higher yields and R&D investments in this sector. Private sector in the seed production has increased from 65 to 70% in 2024. So I should also say that the private sector participation in the seed industry is limited to a few crops. And in those crops in which they are participating, they have this. But largely, I think the public sector research and the governments address the larger good, and they have a wider participation in multiple other crops in which the private sector is not participating. The minister today also asked for a participation and the private sector in some of the categories of crops. I should say, as part of the private sector, we are also eagerly looking forward to, and if there is an enabling environment and a return on investment, I think very surely the private sector would continue to invest on this. Presence of both MNCs and large domestic firms who are driving advanced breeding, biotech, and tailored regional solutions. Why invest in India? Access to India's large, fast-growing seed market, rising hybrid adoption and demand for high-yielding seeds, plus irrigation area expansion. It will sustain a growth momentum, unmatched scalability potential, favorable and predictable regulatory environment. You will also hear, the senior leaders from the government now speaking about this. And we are seeing some of that actually happening as we are speaking. Cost-efficient seed production capability and global export potential. And India is also home to a very strong talent pool. There are different case studies. I think Ajay is here. Savannah has been a very good case study of companies which have invested in India and, have introduced advanced germplasm, boosting productivity and farmers' income. I'm talking mostly about the multinational companies who have invested in India and who have reaped benefits. Now they also have a full page technology, which is an herbicide tolerant. Monsanto, long back, all of us know now it is part of Bayer, has brought BT cotton to India, majorly improving yields and profitability. It has been a great success story. Rizwan is a vegetable company invested in R&D infrastructure and capability building. High quality protected cultivation of vegetables with the introduced trained HM Claus, again, vegetable genetics. Cautiva, which was earlier pioneer, delivered elite germplasm both in corn, millets, mustard, as well as rice and climate resilient hybrids. So I think these are few case studies, which I have picked up where, companies out of the country who have invested in India over a period of time and have been there have actually, reaped benefits out of the Indian seed industry or the farmers. FDI is the key pivot for the next wave of growth in the Indian seed sector. Since many of you are looking at investment opportunities in India, it will definitely accelerate innovation. We have heard about public-private sector collaboration. We are also talking about collaboration between private to private. Foreign collaborations will strengthen the R&D and speed development of advanced seed technologies. Address the funding gap. FDI supports setting up and scaling of critical R&D and supply chain infrastructure. Easy access to global germplasm, superior genetics and technologies, which are very critical, and sectoral growth, which leads to job creation, competitiveness, and supports the overall economic growth. There are certain issues also which are there, which we are trying to problem solve, but just to put it, continuity of the 100% FDI by the automatic route in seeds and biotech. I think this is what the seed industry is suggesting, continuing with the current FDI regime. The removal of 200% weighted deduction of R&D expenses, which was there earlier as a big incentive. I think we have been requesting, and we have also given some white papers around it, reinstating the 200% weighted R&D tax deduction for seeds and biotech. Sometimes, obviously, the biotech regulatory approvals are unpredictable. So making regulatory approvals predictable, Rajvi talked about science and database decision making, will actually enable foreign companies to invest and will help them to, invest probably faster. One nation, one license is what we are talking about. Harmonization of the seed licensing, recognition of R&D based companies, again, and harmony between various ministries, agencies, and authorities, so that simplified processes will boost innovation and safeguard developer rights. Support for the Indian firms to expand globally. Now it is about Indian firms who want to simplification of exim procedures. PRA is obviously a very big issue, which we keep, addressing it. But I think this continues to be still one of the pain points, and export incentives and grants for going global. So I think these are some of the asks, some of it which is now currently being discussed and addressed. But doing some of this will definitely help us to strengthen our seed industry further in this country, and also will enable investors who want to invest in India, given the huge scale of opportunity which is there. That's it from my side. Thank you so much again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Venkat, for a very important presentation, I would say. I think then why not make India as a investment hub for agriculture? That also reminds me to remind you to attend the, I would say, our plenary section tomorrow on India as a seed production hub. Very similar kind of pitch with a very good panel we have tomorrow. With that, I'll invite now Dr. Jai Singh. He is the General Secretary of NSCI, making a pitch for India as a global south opportunities in veg seed production. Dr. Jai Singh.
Sure, okay. Thank you very much. Namaste, good afternoon. Okay, so where is my present? इधर तो नहीं चालू है ना? It's not coming on the screen. Huh? Huh? Okay. It's okay. So, okay, so we are discussing why, what are the opportunities in seed sector in India. So my topic will concern primarily Make in India, why we have to, think about this country and what are the opportunities, especially in vegetable seeds. I will be touching upon these points also, what is the general state of economy, what are the, advantage in R&D production, what is the geographical advantage, and then, policy support, public-private, partnership, and why the India is especially focusing on the global South. Our Prime Minister is very strongly advocating that you cannot neglect the global South, which represent almost more than 80% of the world population. So I'll be touching upon in these points also. Basically, the first question comes, why we should make in India? What is so special about India? If you see the last, the decade, India, the economy, it has very bright spots. Last decade, if you see from 2014, especially, India used to be at the number 10, global GDP. And it has been growing very rapidly. And currently it is the fifth largest economy. And we hope with this, the current policies of the government and the way the economy is spreading, all Make in India program in general in all the industries, we expect by next 5 years, we will be the third largest economy in the world. So it's a very bright spot. Also, in India, if you see, this is one of the fastest growing economy. Even during pandemic time, we have seen that India was the only, place where we could see the maximum growth was taking place. And here also, if you see from the last decade, from 2015 to 2000, now 25, India and China, these are the two big economies which has grown, rapidly. So India also represent that the fastest growing economy also. Also, if you see in general, my previous speakers also has emphasized that, the size of economy and seed industry also. But this is what we expect, looking into the past decade. Currently, we are $4.3 trillion economy, and we expect to, be almost about double in next 5 years. And, sorry, next 10 years, not 5 years, but we expect to be almost, almost close to 9 to 10 trillion economy by 2035. And even in next 5 years, 6.5 to 7 billion trillion economy. So overall, the economy is in a very right stage and, in very right path. If I have to summarize the other advantage of India, why we make in India, apart from the general economy, these are the various factors which are very much in favor of the India. Agroclimatic zones we have talked about, we have very 15 different agroclimatic zones. So what does it make? It allows you multiple, multiplication cycle. Your breeding cycle will also be very fast. We have a very low labor intensive, availability of resources. We also have very skilled R&D manpower resources. We have many state universities and agriculture institutes also producing very skilled, agri resources. Very rich germplasm. Also, we have the very big domestic market also. And if you look into, the vegetable industry, especially from last decade also, it is also getting very globalized. It's expanding not only domestic market, but outside also. And also we have the capacity to, scale up, whether it's a production or, developing new areas also. And of course, we have a strong backup and, understanding, PPP model also. And also Make in India, it's matches very much with the government focus also. The government of India is very strongly focusing on, Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliance, the country. And also we feel that for the global south, India can be a, platform for the technology driver also. So with these points, I feel that the India is the right spot to be considered as, industry, seed industry or vegetable industries also. This is in general, my previous speaker also, they have touched upon that what is the size of the general seed industry. And if we see in the next 10 years, it is going to be doubled, almost close to, it will be close to 10 billion US dollar from current around 4.5, 4.4 billion dollars too. So it's very good opportunity in general in the seed industry. Then there is a big support from the policymakers also for the seed industry. They're very, very positive and they are very encouraging about, they always listen to the industry issues also. So we know that we have, the new policy started and we liberalize our import also. Wherever the best quality seed available, the best quality of variety available, the Indian farmers can have access to that also. We have enacted the law also, PPV and FRA, which is also in place to protect your intellectual property rights. So you need not to be worried about that. And also we have, new seed policy and especially the new seed act also. The new draft has been just declared, last week, and government is taking feedback from the industry also. And those seed policies and new seed act also focus on, seed, innovation also, and, ease of doing business also. My other speaker also has spoken about, the traceability and how to, get rid of the spurious seed and, the Sati portal and all this, QR code kind of technologies, traceabilities. So all these factors, the government policy is also very conducive for the industry. Now, specifically, if you come back to the vegetable seed industry, now here in case the currently vegetable seed industry is almost about, you can say 6,000 crore rupees, which is roughly around $700 million, 740 million dollars. But this will double in next 10 years. You can imagine the growth, see, from 700 to it will be almost $1.4 billion dollars in next 10 years. So it's plenty of opportunity. Now let me come back to my special focus. Why global south from India? Why we should focus? And what are the advantages also that from India we can address to the global south? This is a general indication how we can, demarcate, global north and global south. And our, the government also, and especially our beloved Prime Minister also, he is very much, strongly taking this voice at all the global forum that global south, which is representing almost more than 80% of the world population. So you cannot, imagine the future without taking all these global south into consideration. Now from India, especially, what is the context of global south? Why we want to focus on global south? Of course, global south is facing, everybody talks about climate, problem, so they need, climate resilient varieties. They need nutrition rich vegetables also. Most of the global south, if you see, there's a, the diet is not so well, healthy or strong in the nutrition as compared to the global north. Also, the population growth is very high, so they need, vegetables. Of course, they need more production. Of course, there is very little. If you talk about Africa, for example, in global south, they have very limited innovation in seed. So they need more support also, of course, that way. And India can be a very good partner for for this global innovation also. Also in the global south, the India is taking, leadership role also in many other areas except even seed also. So I see that the India can address all these, global south challenges. And in the same way, what is the rationale behind global south? Of course, it's a very big market. It's an untapped potential market also. So every industry or every company will like to go into market which is untapped and has a future potential. There is a nutritional need requirement, as I mentioned, is also there, especially for global south, and particularly if you talk about Africa, the farmers are very small land holding farmers, so they need very good quality, productive, high hybrid seeds to increase their productivity. For this, we have touched upon climate resilient. We are facing almost similar kind of, challenges also. South-South cooperation also, which we share the common kind of challenges, but India has almost similar kind of challenges are faced by global south. And definitely, the vegetables, they are very good source of, food, nutrition, security, and, fortified, vegetable also. So all these things make sense that, okay, from India, you can address into the global south vegetables. And also particularly, I like to share upon here one experience, especially in Africa. If you introduce a good quality seeds, especially in the villages, if you go there, the women are mostly, you will find 70–80% women are, so adaptive. So they take it and then they, grow it and they sell locally, local market or village market, and they generate some income. So it empower them also, in the economy also, apart from, their own home consumption. So apart from this, our government of India also, we have taken some initiative to address global south. And these are, several initiatives which as government of India has taken, especially our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. And just to remind you that till 2023, the G20 was without Africa. And our Prime Minister said, okay, you cannot consider, G20 without. So he made Africa the G20+1, because it represents about 1.5 billion people of Africa. So that shows the commitment, or the support the government want to address from India to global south. Of course, these are the vegetable which you can address to the global south. All these are the crops which have a very strong breeding program in India. If you see, in this fit into well all the global south. Whether you take tomato, hot pepper, or the cucumber, okra, watermelon, all these kind of crops fits very well, which developed from India to the global south. And also there are lately, many companies who are, now strongly developing the cool crop hybrids also. Many companies in India, they're developing brassica hybrids also. They have cabbage hybrids, cauliflower hybrids, even carrots hybrids also there. So these also provide an opportunity to address, tropical fruit crops plus the cool crops also. So this we can, address to the global south. It may be little repetition also, but these are the main opportunities I see from India we can address, It will be almost, I need not to go into details specifically, but, same, we can develop heat-resistant variety, drought-tolerant varieties, climate-resilient varieties also. And where there is a very good, support from, National Agriculture Research Centers also, CAGR system, and, from the private companies. Digital breeding, marker-assisted breeding also, gene editing also. We can make the seed from India as a, global brand also. So these are several opportunities in India which we can address in India and can be taken to the global south. Investment hotspots. Again, if you want to address the global south from India, of course, these are the few areas where, you can have, hybrid development also, of course, for the diverse climate, because India has almost 15 climatic zones. So you can develop variety for the temperate climate, you can develop for the subtropical, you can develop for tropical climate also. And also in Indian growing condition and global south also, you have to breed for the long shelf life. I am talking only on vegetables. So you have some varieties which are very high, which is very good keeping quality, long storage without, refrigeration also. This fits well for the global south market requirement. Contract seed production also, plenty of scope to expand it also. We have a lot of area which can be developed as a contract seed production for vegetables. Supply chain logistic hub also can be there. Geographically, if you see India, from, we are developing a lot of seaport and an ocean port connectivities also. From India, you can, connect very well, whether it's East Africa or whether it's South Asia or Southeast Asia also. Definitely. Again, this will be little repetition, but these are the opportunities we see. And this shows that India has really potential to make, the global vegetable crops hybrids in India, and it provides a lot of opportunities. You can go through it, or you can read it also. I need not to, go one by one, but these are the opportunities I see. Also, one of the perception there that India is, very hot and warm and tropical, subtropical kind of climate. But these are the practical experience where, the cool crops also very much, suited for the seed production also. And these are the areas in the northern part, or upper hills also. If you go to northern part, or, Himachal or Jammu Kashmir, or, plains of north also, even Delhi surrounding these areas, you can produce cauliflower hybrids, tropical, subtropical hybrids, cauliflower seed production, very successful. You can produce beetroot in Kashmir. You can produce cabbage. You can produce kohlrabi also. But these areas not fully exploited or not fully explored also. And now, the situation is changing very fast. The Jammu and Kashmir is getting a very good, providing opportunity to develop this cool crop hybrid seed production also. So this also provided good opportunity for India. These are the, of course, the strategic roadmap. I am saying that, okay, we have to, strengthen our R&D for export competitiveness. We have to strengthen, not only limit the bidding program to India only, but for global South, we have to consider. Regional alliance also, we can, make regional alliance, like what we have in SAARC countries. And again, we have, India, Africa Forum, also business forum. Also, we have to ensure that, whenever we are introducing our product outside India, also it has to be with the highest quality, so that the brand India image of the seeds also, well accepted. We also need to facilitate B2B kind of, interaction between India and the global South. And definitely, of course, policy advocacy is always supporting us. Investment partnership and investment model also, these are different models, of course. India spent almost $200 million on R&D. Sometime today, even our minister Saab was saying that, okay, your investment on R&D is very small, but looking into the size of the seed industry, and, we are almost spending $200 million, so which is, almost 7-8% of your turnovers also. We can think about, joint venture kind of opportunities also, where, our domestic countries can shake hand with the global partner also. PPP model, of course, there. And then, of course, we can develop some unexploited area for the seed production also, especially the Himalayan, northern climates also, for the cool crops also. These are some ideas for, the policy recommendation or policy support also, that if we can, Ministry of Agriculture, we have our officials also sitting here, if we can create some special seed export facilitation centers also. Sometime when we export seed also, sometimes it takes almost 3 to 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or 2 months also. So if these kind of special focus is there, it will help to expand the Indian seed industry, globally. Special export zone also, we are discussing many times also about the seed. And also the global seed certification program also, which can be easily accepted into entire global South. Public-private consortium also we can develop. They're like, we have many research institute in India. They have very strong breeding program, and private companies, they can join hand together and develop the varieties for the global South. Consortium kind of model can also be think about. Of course, for quality control, traceability, and digital registry, IPR, these are also very much getting into place and strengthening also. Also, economic accreditation lab also, if we can increase our infrastructure also, so that will speed up our requirement of getting ISTA certificate also, rather than depending on few labs. So so if you have more, then it definitely helps. Call for the action again. It's say, let's unite hands together, for initiative, global South Seed initiatives, and also strengthen our research and industry incentives. If you can make it more incentive driven, and then it will be very much encouraging the private people also to not only think about Asia or South Asia, but also globally. And then definitely what we discuss about, vegetable seed innovation hub, to not only to breed for India, but breed for the global south. And also because of geographically, we are very much, in advantageous position. So we can be a very good supply chain hub or, global logistic hub also. These are challenges, of course, some of the challenges we are facing, that still there are many, PRAs, uncompleted PRAs also there. Because of that, industry is letting almost about, there is some study estimate that almost about 50 to 70 million dollar, seed export loss because our PRAs are not completed. Some estimate was there. Phytosanitary harmonization, my other speaker, Mr. Rajbir also touched upon this also. And also, the R&D investment, of course, should not be like, more consolidated and along with the, public-private partnership and, consortium kind of things. And definitely, quality conscious we are doing, we have done like Sati Porter, traceability, we can, link the linkage also. So definitely we can get out of the, piracy and those kind of issues. And this can create a, trust in Indian brand globally, especially. Yes. So what I would like to say here, that there is a strong possibility in India for the vegetable seed sector. It can cater the demand for the Southeast Asia also, and also for the Africa, and all the tropical fruit crops, especially like tomato, hot pepper, okra, watermelon, cucumber, eggplants, and also the latest addition, some of the companies who are developing cool crops also. They are very much has big opportunity to expand into global south. One of the linkage which I can see addressing these issues to the global south, especially with regard to the Africa, especially in Africa, if you see that if you give, supply good hybrid quality seed and it gives you good production, the farmers feel very happy. The soils are very good, the climate is good, it's very fertile soil, and you get good, abundant harvest. And it create a lot of income for the local farmer, local market, village market, or even sometime, distance market also. So somehow indirectly good quality seed, good hybrid seeds, it can tackle to, no poverty issue also. Because you grow there locally, you sell in the local market, and you get some income. And also it will address, zero hunger also, in the sense that if you good quality seed and good hybrid seeds, it give you good production, and you can supply to, the local mandi or local farmers, or, local villages also there, local community. And also seed develop from India. It fits very well. The India also has tropical, subtropical climate, heat tolerance issue, disease tolerance issues, or drought tolerance, or better, keeping quality. And it can tackle somehow, the climate action also, the SDGs of Kamalam. So these three, I feel that good quality vegetable seeds developed in India, which fits very well into, especially in Africa or, South Asia, can indirectly take care of these three SDGs also. One of the most important action required, especially in global south, you have to show the farmer, okay, what exactly the potential of your product. Grow it and let them see it and let them check it, because the rate of acceptance is very high. If you grow there, you do it, and practically the farmer will see the real potential. So, and these are some example from the seeds from India. Like they are very successful, especially in eastern part of Africa. All eastern part of Africa, they are very successful. Almost similar growing style, similar growing conditions, similar way of handling, harvesting, post-harvesting. It's almost same like India. So the variety which is successful here in India, it's very much successful in Africa also. And my observation, I see that seeds from India, and if it's going there, and the farmer feel very happy, whether it's a tomato or watermelon or cucumber or okra or habanero or this kind of stuff. So I strongly believe that from India in vegetable sector, there is a plenty of scope. We can address global south, and also, develop the trust for the farmers in the global south. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jai Singh. So thanks to all speakers, we are a little bit ahead of time, which means we can have 10 minutes of coffee break extra. So we'll break now and we'll back in 20 minutes for the very two important presentations from the Government of India representatives. Thank you so much. I think we should gather back and start our remaining session. I request everyone to settle down, please. Okay. I now invite Dr. D.K. Yadav. He is the DDG of Crop Science in Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. And his topic of presentation is enabling policies for public-private partnership for seed sector advancement in India. Sir, all yours. Thank you.
Namaskar, good afternoon. Honorable Dr. T. Mahapatra Sahab, former Secretary Day and DGICR, the organizing chairman of this Asian Seed Congress, Dr. Prabhakar Rao Sahab, all the stalwarts in the seed industry from India as well as from other countries. So I will be just giving a glimpse about the various enabling policies for the public-private partnership for seed sector advancement in India. So I have divided it in 5-6 separate components. So the first one is regarding the research priorities, national research areas, research development, seed systems and policies. So if we see, when Honorable Prime Minister talks about the Viksit Bharat during 2047, so we have some research priorities. As in the morning also it was discussed at length by the Honorable Agriculture Minister as well as the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra. That is the food and nutritional security with special emphasis on enhancing production of oilseeds and pulses. That is one of the priority sector as on today. Improving the input use efficiency for safer environment, lower input cost, and enhancing farmers' income, which is one of the major theme of development of this government, and the trained human resources. So under that, we have the various national research areas. So in that, our basic objective is that how to meet out the overall food requirement during 2047 and making the country self-sufficient. So with that motive, actually, the various output, outcome, and the various priorities they have been fixed, and according to that, all the national research programs under the ICR as well as the National Agriculture Research System, they are being steered. So we all are well aware that we have a very strong seed system in our country with the participation of both public and private partnership, including the NARS, as well as the state governments, the private sector, various public sector undertakings. And that is one of the, I think, very well-established system where the varietal development part is being done both by public sector as well as the private sector institutions, and then their seed production system regarding the availability of breeder seed, because all the companies, they are not having that much of resources and facilities to develop the varieties. So there is a very good system of sharing the breeder seed by the private sector and public sector to various private sector industries and public sector seed production agencies. And as per the requirement, the indents are raised. They are being produced by the various AICRP centers under the ICR, under the ICR institutes as well as the state agriculture universities. And according to that, the breeder seed is distributed as per the indents received from the various seed production agencies. And that allotment is also done as per the indents. And finally, the further classes of seed other than the breeder seed, that is being taken care of by the National Seed Corporation, the State Seed Corporation, ICR institutes, as well as the SCAU, Central Agriculture University, KVKs. And in private sector, as per the records, maybe some number may be varying. From both the associations, NSCI as well as FSSI, we have around 550 seed companies with 110 having the research and development component. So they are contributing also in the varietal development through the AICRP or through their own system. And about 7 public sector undertakings are also involved in seed production, from foundation to certified seed. And the various other schemes like the other partners like the non-governmental organization, voluntary organization, farmer producer organization, and the seed hub scheme that was launched during 2017 in case of pulses. That is also now it has been that extended to around the oil seeds, pulses, as well as the earlier the millets also. And 210 seed hubs are working across the country. And the seed village scheme of Government of India, that is also one scheme which is also enhancing the seed availability. Quality control, again, we have a good system of seed certificate agencies, 25, and the seed testing laboratories. And some of the points which were raised in the morning also when Prabhakarji was presenting, and that's this issue we are generally discussing about the that infrastructure which is available with the seed laboratory. So that needs to be one issue which we are trying to address. And so that is the overall systems, and we have 20 ISTA member laboratory, but as was told in the morning also, only ISTA accredited are 8, out of which 6 are from private sector and 2 are from the public sector. So that is the whole system of varietal improvement as well as the seed production system in the country which is going on. As far as the varietal part is concerned, so we have the contribution from the ICR Institute, we have contribution from the State Agriculture University, Central Agriculture University, as well as the private sector is also contributing towards the varietal improvement program, and the major share is coming from the State Agriculture University. However, the number of varieties coming from the SAUs, the more are the state-specific varieties, and private sector is contributing to total 15% of the variety released during last 10, 11 years, 3,503. So the private sector is contributing to 15%, and most of the varieties in that case are in case of cotton, as well as in case of some rice hybrids, and in wheat also, in maize, pearl millet, so and some of the oil seeds also like mustard. So these are the overall variety. Most of the cases, the hybrids are there in case of private sector, which our Honorable Minister was also referring in the morning. We all are aware that we have a number of rules, guidelines, regulations in the country, starting from the Seed Act during 1966 and its further amendments. And in the morning, a lot has been said about this, and already the bill, that seed bill is under process for the revision of the act, and hopefully whatsoever the issues were being raised by the private sector, so the government is trying to address most of those issues, and further consultation discussions are still pending. So that is being addressed through that. Then the seed rules, again, now the seed rules are also being formulated simultaneously with the new seed bill. PPFRA, Dr. Mahapatra Sahab will be presenting in details. The BDA Act, Biological Diversity Act, and then its amendment during 2024, and access and benefit sharing guidelines of the under the BDA. So that is already 2014 are under the revision. The seed control order 1983, one of the item I think that is long discussed about the licensing of the variety which is under this particular order. So that also is under discussion, and I think will be addressed in the times to come under the Seed Act. And then so many other guidelines and orders were there. And some of the national programs also, with the implementation of the new policy on seed development, which also we had the revision of that policy, but because seed bill is also coming, so most of the issues which were to be changed there, so they will be coming under the new seed bill. So there is no need of separate policy, likewise the national seed policy. So all the guidelines which were there and where we required some changes, so most of them, they are being tried to be addressed through the new seed bill. The Government of India is also supporting many programs through the National Food and Food Security Mission, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, National Mission on Edible Oils, National Mission on Atmanirbharta in Pulses. And the ICR is now commercializing the varieties whatsoever they are developing. Earlier, we were providing the breeder seed for all the varieties, but as per the Government of India guidelines, and to contribute something as revenue by the various public sector undertakings as well as the autonomous bodies. So under that, some guidelines have been developed. And these guidelines were again revised during 2018 when Dr. Mahapatra was heading the Indian Council of Agriculture Research as well as the secretary there. And these are being followed. And another wing of the DARE is the Agri Innovate, which is also dealing with the commercialization of the varieties. And now, as on today, if we see during last 5 years, we have more than 3,000 licenses with more than, I think, 500 varieties which we have licensed, and this is doing very well with the cooperation of all the private sector colleagues. Then what can be how to enhance the collaborations? So we have many areas where the collaborations are going on, and still we need to enhance them more. So the first is the licensing of released variety. Just I mentioned that earlier, for the older varieties, still as per the intent of private sector, we are sharing the breeder seed whatsoever they are indenting. But for new varieties, for the revenue generation and which is requirement, so in that case, we are opening those varieties for licensing with the private sector, and a good progress has been made in that, and this is already in well placed and working well. Then collaborative and contract research programs. So some cases still we have some collaborative and contract research programs, but definitely as in the earlier presentations also, we need to strengthen that component to have better, I think, coordination, better working in a compatible manner. And then the VCU platform of the All India Contract Research projects, which the private sector is also contributing the entries in that platform, and the whatsoever varieties 15% I'm discussing. So those are being tested under that VCU. And for having some minor change for ease of doing business and to spare the time, some work we are already doing. So that will also be done. Germplasm exchange is one of the very important activities, and I think, except in case of some MNCs where we have to go to the NBA for the approval, other than the varieties or the crops which are out of the annexed 2 of the International Treaty of Plant Genetic Resources. So we are freely sharing, and very frequently we are holding the meetings with the private sector at the National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, so that these issues which they face from time to time, they can be resolved. The other issues which we now need to address are the trait-specific novel germplasm, transgenic events, genome-editing events, which is still now, till now it is not happening. The crop-specific consortia platform, which I think our earlier speakers, they have referred for having a strong consortia platform system, sharing of the pre-breeding material, advanced breeding lines, parental lines of the hybrids, likewise the development and sharing of the diagnostic kits for the detection of specific native gene and transgene students exchange program. In some cases, we are doing also training and capacity building and partnership with the farmer producer organizations and the cooperatives. So these are some of the, from fourth onward, these are some of the areas where I think we can have better collaboration and better working together environment we need to create. So there are various models for the public-private partnership. Dr. Mahapatra, when he was DG, so during 2020, before the COVID, a committee was constituted to have revised the guidelines for addressing all these issues from 6 to 9, which I have presented in the earlier slide. So the one thing is that licensing of the released varieties, and you all are well aware that as on today, we are licensing all the varieties on non-exclusive basis. So there are always from some of the companies, they are asking for the limited exclusivity, regional exclusivity, or exclusive licensing. So that is not happening. So as on today, we are doing only the non-exclusive. Then sharing of the non-germplasm, that is another area, and we need to develop the model for that. Then collaborative research program. So in that already the guidelines are from the ICR are there, where for the collaborative and these programs, contract research programs, the guidelines are there, and IPR issues and sharing of the benefit, everything has been well defined. And in that case, some of the programs are already going with the various private seed companies and with the various ICR institute. Extension services, I think that is one area, and Bayer has already has one MOA for the various extension services, and recently we have one more MOA, umbrella MOA with the MECO also, and some more requests are coming. So we are trying to have those MOAs. And what will be the modalities for such type of collaborations, which from 1 to 5 have been mentioned here. So the umbrella MOA with the seed association, that can be one way out, that rather than going for the individual companies, so that can be the two or three major associations are there. So there can be one umbrella that MOA with them. The crop specific CRPs, consortia research platform, membership for sharing of the material. So the IPR issues as per the ICR Government of India guidelines, sharing of the infrastructure and knowledge, student attachment for the research, human resource development, and mechanism for funding for the research. Actually, that is one issue which is, I think, becoming one of the limitation for coming together, that private sector is coming for the contribution, but how the contribution will be coming from the public sector. So that is being discussed since very beginning when Dr. Mahapatra Shah was there, and now we are thinking to have some share from our corpus fund or some other fund which is already available with ICR, and definitely we need to work on that. Then release varieties and hybrids, some of the models which have been presented, and these models, various commercialized models, they were developed in consultation with both the associations, and I think some of the initiatives which you have taken and based on their experience, not only in India, but globally also, to both FSSI and NSCI, we have a long consultation during the development of these guidelines. So one of the model is commercialization model 1, currently being followed in the NARS. And that the varieties are being developed by them, the seed production is also being done by them, and then the marketing is also being done by them. And most of the times we are only limited to the breeder seed production, and then further giving this breeder seed to the various state government agency or the public sector, private sector agency. And then that is almost the no profit, no loss business. But in my experience and in general also, this is a business of loss. In general, when we see the total cost of cultivation and all the operations, so the cost benefit ratio that generally I think goes towards the negative side than rather having some profit. So this is one of the system and it is very difficult to handle the complex products under this system, particularly in case of hybrids and the trait-specific varieties, where generally because of the known interest of the public sector institutions to go for the parental line multiplication and then further they're having bred that foundation seed and then going finally for the certified hybrid seed production. So being a tedious process, so generally it is avoided. And the cost of production and purity and quality also, and also non-realization of the royalty even on the agreed terms and conditions for most of the varieties which are being licensed, which one of the component I told. So though a number of license have happened and number of MOAs have happened, but that is one limitation in general that this is one of the, I think, limiting factor in going through this model for further. So these are some of the calculations, so I'll not go towards them. Then the commercialization model 2 of the research and development companies, which are being followed by most of the companies, that is the research, product development and evaluation, identification, commercial viability product of the product. Its seed production and processing is done by the developing institution, organization. Marketing is done through the distributor, retailer appointed by the developer, and the model operates on the royalty ranging from 2 to 5% for open pollinated varieties and from 5 to 10% for the hybrids on the net sale value or the net realized value, which is the amount received by the developer from the distributor. These margins may reduce or increase depending on the seed product producibility and demand in the market. So that is another model by the most of the research and development companies which are following this model. And then the third model is regarding the for the NARS, which during the discussions within the public sector breeders as well as with the consultation with private sector, that is if the NRV, that is the if net realized value from rice hybrid is 260 rupees per kg and cost of the goods is rupees 120 per kg. So non-standard cost is 10 rupees per kg. So the sales and marketing cost is 30 rupees per kg. The profit would be of rupees 100 per kg, that is 260 of the NRV minus the other costs which are happening, that is 120 for the cost, goods cost, then 10 rupees for the sales and marketing cost and 30 rupees for the 10 rupees for non-standard cost and 30 rupees for the sales and marketing cost. So the net profit is rupees 100 per kg. So developer and the producer marketing companies share profit in the 40 to 60 ratio. So in this model, the developer gets approximately 15% of the net realized value in case of a rice hybrid as compared to 10% of NRV in model 2, which I have just been mentioned. So that is one of the viable model that can be, I think, adopted, and in some of the cases that has been done also, and the private seed companies, they are coming also. So this is the best commercial model in the context of the National Agriculture Research System. The trait-specific licenses recently, in case of that herbicide-tolerant rice, some of the companies, they came forward and that trait-specific licensing has been done by IRI in case of the HT rice. So the licensing fees has been taken as rupees 1 lakh for a period of 5 years, royalty 2% of the net sale value, and the even that is being collected at source, because many times the earlier experience is that nobody is coming for the further the royalty. So in that case, the at source that deduction is being done. And the trait development in the proprietary varieties and hybrids. So one-time license is for that rupees 30 lakhs. And already some of the companies, including Niji Vidu, they have already taken this particular hybrid, and some more companies have also come forward. And then the trait fee is at the rate of 5% of the net sale value in case of OPV and 10% of the net sale value in case of the hybrids. So that is one model, and I think these particular models, they have been discussed at length, and we presented before the Honorable Minister also. So he suggested some changes, and now we are going to finally present to the current Honorable Minister, and we hope that that will be put under the guidelines. Then in case of consortia research platform, again, I think some after registration with the PPFRA, some of the varieties they have been licensed, and where the public and private companies, they are equally participating. And in this case, actually, if we need to have some material, that pre-breeding line or the various segregating populations, or the very trait-specific germ plants. So in that case, we need to have some membership fee in like the platinum, gold, silver, bronze. So on that also we have done some work, and once we presented this particular presentation to almost all both the association at many platforms, and whatsoever suggestions we got from the public and private sector breeders. So we have already incorporated that. That is only in the final stage of approval of the competent authority. Some of the issues are which are, I think, hampering the public-private partnership is the regulatory streamlining. As in the morning also was mentioned that the issue is mandated for registration notification. So needs the expediting the varietal testing for reducing the time between the development and release of the genotype. So already we are working on so many models so that the time which is required for 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, that can be reduced. Intellectual property and benefit sharing framework on germ plant access and benefit sharing is in place, which incentivize private investment. While so in that case also, I think we need to ensure that whatsoever the private sector is taking, so whatsoever they should incentivize the public sector bidders or the institutes also. Risk and resource sharing, again, that needs to do some exercise in that direction also, which is not happening, and market-oriented approach. That can also be one of the component under the public-private partnership, and role of the private sector, that is fair and honestly dedicated declaration and contribution to the access and benefit sharing for using public sector germplasm and varieties too, and ensuring equitable sharing of IPR coming out of the PPP model, which in general is not happening to the level it should happen. Seed Act and rules and seed policies, I think these are some of the concerns on which already some work is being done, and definitely in very short period of time, as has been declared in the morning also. Strong public-private partnership for research and development using the cutting-edge technology. So all my previous speakers also, they have emphasized that. Honorable Minister also emphasized that, and we are also working on that. The excellent hybrids and varieties developed by the public sector, I think many of them, many companies are coming, but we need to have more collaborations for licensing of those materials so that they can go with the strength of the private sector, they can go to the farmers in the minimum time. And cost of hybrid seed, which is Honorable Minister was also discussing, and many times it is varying to a very wider range. In case of mustard, 3 years back, we saw that this was going up to 900 rupees per kg. So these are sometimes the unrealistic prices years back in case of cotton, which Honorable Minister was also referring. So for that also, we need to have a brainstorming session so that it should be affordable to the farmers, although the cost is involved, everything is involved. The public partnership should be built on the mutual trust and the understanding with the reciprocation. It should not be one way. It should be the two-way traffic, that if we are asking for something, so we should be in a position and be free to offer something that, yes, we are giving this much. And the public sector is already, in terms of germplasm and the facilitation for other issues, we are already doing. And in that case, the farmers and the food security of the country, that should be at the center stage. So that type of collaboration is required between the public sector and private sector organization. So with these words, I thank the organizers for giving this opportunity, and thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. A very detailed perspective of how a public-private partnership can be. Now, I invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Mahapatra. He's the chairperson of PPVFRA. So his presentation is about how plant variety protection can stimulate investment in the seed sector. Sir, all yours.
नहीं नहीं ये नहीं ये तो हो गया ओपन किया मैंने हाँ ये ठीक है हाँ Very good afternoon to everybody. Morning, I had spoken very little, and many people said that we wanted to hear more. But people probably who needed to listen, they may not be here. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of light, actually. But anyway, so I was asked to speak on something which is pertaining to my current focused area of dealings at the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Authority. So, how plant variety protection can stimulate, or can it stimulate, investment in seed sector, and how the system in place promotes this? Is it promoting or otherwise? So very briefly, I will deal with this. I have designed my talk with a few of these points, largely providing a glimpse of Indian agriculture. In fact, it has been already spoken about by previous speakers. The Indian Act and then the provisions very briefly again, telling something about farmers' rights and variety registration, what progress we have been able to make. And in that context, how protection can help and stimulate higher investment, and giving a perspective at the end of the lecture. So that is the structure of what I'm going to speak about. Indian agriculture has come a long way from begging bowl to brimming bread basket. I would like to describe that way. From deficiency to sufficiency, and from ship to mouth to the Food Security Act. So that's the state of Indian agriculture today. Honorable Minister did mention how many times we have been able to increase production. Thanks to Green Revolution, the two genes which came from local varieties, whether the semi-dwarfing gene in rice or in wheat, came from natural mutants. So the traditionally occurring land races contributing to the Green Revolution. And India not only harnessed full benefit of the semi-dwarfing traits, also has taken on its ride the other developments and realizing revolutions in the form of milk, white revolution, fish revolution, that's blue revolution, pulses revolution, we still continue to be deficient because we are the largest consumer in the world, and our deficiency still continues despite producing almost additionally 10 million tons as compared to what we were producing before 2015 and 16. There has been a sugar revolution, another 10 to 15 million tons production of sugar in past 8 to 10 years. Horticulture revolution, and of course, mention was made again and again about cotton revolution, practically a gene revolution there. So we have many revolutions, and of course, this is summarized here. The times increase is mentioned here. Honorable Minister mentioned about oil seeds. When I was a DGICR, actually we made this table, and that is continuing. Dr. D.K. Yadav is, in fact, updating this slide every year. I was asking him to put data. He has already 24, 25 data. So we are, increasing production, and we have kept tempo, the same tempo that was created thanks to Dr. Swaminathan during 1960s and early 70s. We continue producing not only the National Agriculture Research System, but the private entities, all the actors are playing a tremendous role in this development. All the revolutions I mentioned, and they are also mentioned here in the second column. And you see the production of egg and fish and also meat. So every sector has done a commendable job, and I will not present more than what I am talking about Indian agriculture and status, despite the limitations of climate change, despite limitations of land degradation, water availability getting limited, the water down the soil layers getting depleted, the underground water becoming, going down and down in certain regions of the country, and various other issues. I'm not going to those. All have been mentioned, small and marginal farmers, and so on and so forth. And mind you, our land holdings, now the NABARD study says its average is about 0.7 hectare. So much less than 1 hectare, and that is also distributed, located in many different places. So this is a serious challenge for adoption of new technologies. We are exporting. Export is increasing. More than 50 billion US dollar worth of agri-produce we are exporting. And that is a steady increase past 4 or 5 years. We are almost stagnating at about 51 billion US dollar. And certainly there is plenty of opportunity. When we say that we would like to become 6 to 7 trillion US dollar economy in another 5, 6 years, of course, agriculture must contribute and contribute to the tune of 1 trillion US dollar. And unless we improve our export and then produce accordingly, keeping in mind the global consumers, the demands in mind, so we'll not be able to really achieve that target. So the malnutrition is a serious issue, and Dr. D.K. Yadav mentioned about varieties. They are being licensed. We created platforms for partnerships. And when we initiated this, 2016, there are 2-3 varieties which were biofortified, and there are programs going on. We put in efforts. Honorable Minister mentioned we have now more than 200 varieties developed during past 8-9 years. When I was there, we had more than 80-90 varieties, and now it has crossed 200 mark for various traits. And as it was mentioned, about 14 million hectares of wheat is under biofortified crop. So other crops are yet to pick up. The cultivation are going to be steady, and there is tremendous role of the private sector to play their card, play their role, and in fact promote this, do research, and I'm sure in years to come, all varieties would be biofortified, addressing the hidden hunger, the malnutrition, the stunting, the wasting, which are serious challenges, particularly among children, and anemia, not just because of deficiency of iron, but protein malnutrition. As they are all serious challenges we have to together address. And not only here in India, but also globally elsewhere through biofortified crops and also through diversified food consumption, and where the role of horticulture comes in. And we talk of vegetables, a lot of dealings happening today, and promoting vegetable cultivation and also consumption, the balanced diet, and in fact promoting kitchen gardens, nutri gardens, what we call, and we promoted quite a bit in Madhya Pradesh. And hopefully through your engagement, not only produce, we also consume. Let us do that. And I'm sure this is the list of 171 biofortified crops. Dr. D.K. Yadav has been compiling this since my days at Krishi Bhavan. And now I'd say that it's more than 200 and 16 million hectares under these crops. And I'm sure as we go along, this area would increase. And that is tremendous opportunity for partnership. Dr. D.K. Yadav mentioned elaborately that we planned about it. And I'm sure the opportunities are expanding and intensifying. And I'm sure this is the time to come together and play the roles appropriately. Climate is changing, and climate resilience is another important aspect of our dealings, and we must collaborate not just through licensing process once the product is developed, but also in getting engaged at the stage of planning research, and also through consortia research platforms, what was presented by Dr. Yadav. And this is one example that how we can make the traditional varieties climate resilient. Multiple genes can be put together, quantitative trait loci put together through marker assisted breeding, through genomics assisted breeding. Now the whole genome sequences are available, and the whole genome association mapping is being done. And we have done several studies are available, and and then putting genes together. In chickpea, there are a few examples now in India. The public system, ICRISAT, NIPGR, ICR, working hand in hand and developing such varieties. There's one example. The yield is not sacrificed, but along with higher yield, we have submergence tolerance and also drought tolerance, because submergence and drought come together. And that's the reason why we need to really strategically put together. In fact, combine with these abiotic stresses, the biotic stress tolerance, and then make crops practically resilient to all changes, kind of difficulties that farmers face, at the ground level. Challenges are many in case of Indian agriculture, and there are all, another few of them, mentioned here. I'm not going to read those, but certainly water availability, land availability, ecological damage, and so on and so forth. The issues are many, and there are also opportunities for us to work on and then deliver, not just for Indian agriculture, Indian farmers, for Indian economy, but also the global consumers to address all their needs in years to come. I'm sure seed could be the savior, the God to save agriculture from all the issues that we have been talking about since morning. That is climate change, that is land issue, that is water issue, and a whole lot of issues. That how seed could be the central, And this should be the message for every policy makers, for every administrator here in India at the global stage. And if this message goes, then the focus is on seed and seed sector. And every player who is involved obviously would benefit from this. And seed can give us, rich dividends with regard to saving on land resources. As the population grows, we can't keep on expanding land area, cultivating more land to solve the problems and to meet the requirements. Obviously we have to increase productivity, and seed would be central to that. Of course, resource use efficiency, water, of course, fertilizer and all that, and it has been discussed. I'm not going to deal with this. Of course, biotic stress tolerance to save on pesticides, particularly. And then, abiotic stress tolerance for climate resilience and suitability for post-harvest storage, longer storage, long transport, processing, value addition for diverse consumer needs, and very importantly, endowing seeds with high value compounds. We have not really bothered so much about this. The medicinal plants are harvested from the nature, and they are becoming extinct. And probably this area requires our attention more than anybody else. It's not just food. Honorable Minister talked about it's food, fiber, nutrient, health as a whole, and if in fact bioenergy, the sugarcane juice, maize, all getting diverted for ethanol production and saving on the fossil fuel. So all that, in fact, the holistic approach through seed, and that is what the message we have to give, and that is where we have to focus on. It's not just cultivating cereals, pulses, oilseeds, and vegetables or other fruit crops, but going beyond that. And that's what we have been doing, cotton, for example, and going beyond that and addressing the requirements of pharmaceutical industry and industrial needs, high value compounds getting synthesized at a very, very high level. And that is opportunity through system biology, manipulating specific pathways and creating new pathways in plants, which is possible through system biology approach. And I'm sure, all of us sitting here, the private-public partnership can be harnessed to this effect. And very importantly, we have not really looked into, an Honorable Minister was talking about and alluding to this, that seeds for nature positive agriculture, which variety, whether we can breed variety for natural farming situation or organic farming situation, not just selecting from the existing ones, but breeding for that situation, and also for better ecosystem services. Little work has been initiated globally. I'm sure, with our engagement and partnership, we should be able to build, varieties with high yield, nutrient density being higher, and all other requirements being there, and also at the same time, better ecosystem services delivered in the rhizosphere zone, so that the friendly bacteria and other organisms are promoted, carbon is sequestered more in soil, and because of root exudates, which are carbon and other nutrients being provided to the rhizosphere organisms, and in the process, there is enrichment of rhizosphere and soil fertility increasing, and sustainability is addressed in the process. And we have not really bothered as much as this, and creating innovations in the process and putting our minds together to create such innovations, and then addressing this, and seed being central to our thought process to address the issues and challenges that we face in agriculture, that we are going to face more intensely in agriculture due to climate change and other issues. And we need to really focus on seeds. And Indian seed sector, Dr. D.K. Yadav has been dealing when he was ADG, now DDG. And of course, it was mentioned by Honorable Minister that the informal seed system still continues. and it is quite strong in India. And I must say that it must be strengthened further. About 30% of seeds still, are coming from that sector. Farmers are saving, producing themselves, traditional varieties being grown, and the commercial level seed sector, which is formal seed system, about 70% of seeds, and out of that about 71% through private sectors, and about 29-30% being supplied through the government system. Dr. D.K. Yadav presented that how foundation seed, certified seed, and then all that, from nucleus, breeder nucleus, and all that, and we are producing and then supplying through the public system, and the private is engaged. Truthfully level seeds largely being supplied to the farmers. Honorable Minister was talking about, and this traditional seed in India is so vital and crucial, and they are recognized. They are evolved by farmers for generations. They are being maintained on their own farm. They spend money, they spend labor, and they still continue doing that. That's the passion, and that's the reason why it's so important and crucial. And also they keep maintaining wild relatives, land races, and continue doing so. And there are some examples which are here. And very importantly, they carry the relics of evolution. They carry the relics of evolution as it happened in the past. And more importantly, because they are being grown on farm, they, not unlike the gene bank accessions, they also keep accumulating the adaptive changes which are new, which you and me may not be able to create, but nature creates. And this accumulation of mutations and adaptive changes are very crucial for future plant breeding. All those sitting here must take this note, serious note of it, in fact, and why farmers remain central, and why we must be supporting them, and why we must have an act and a balancing act. Globally, people have not bothered about it, but India bothered about it, and because those material would feed plant breeding efforts in future as sources, because they are accumulating changes and they are the adaptive changes you and me may not be able to create in the laboratory through even gene editing. And even if the AI is put into the gene editing and both integrated, that would be predictions. And those predictions may not work unless you do large scale experimentation, because a gene would be there where a mutation would be most appropriate. The nature only would be selecting the best. And that is what the farmers' varieties are doing. And that's where our interest must be. And you and me together must be supporting them. And, so this act, India became a member of the World Trade Organization in the year 1995, and also is a signatory to TRIPS agreement. And Article 27(3)(b) says that you can opt for any one of them and provide protection to plant varieties, either through patenting or through sui generis system or any combination thereof. And that is how India opted for a sui generis system. And PPBFR Act, Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act, was burned in 2001. Thanks to the Parliament, in shortest possible time, it was approved. And recognizing enormously very importantly and significantly the contributions of the farmers in agrobiodiversity conservation. And that's the reason why you find farmers' rights eloquently mentioned and very effectively described and appropriately provisioned in the Act. And PPBFR rules came into existence 2003 and authority established in 2005. So this is 21st year, 20 years we have spent protecting plant varieties in this country. And this is silver jubilee year of the Indian Act. This is silver jubilee year of Indian Act. And it was said that we should be celebrating this, and also we should be thinking about modifying the act. amending the act wherever required. And if you have any views, it's open to all. You can suggest if there is any requirement of bringing any amendment to any provision which is there. And this has done a wonderful balancing act, thanks to the policy makers, the lawmakers of this country, that how very brilliantly they have designed this. ITPGR AFA Article 9 provisions on farmers' rights have been taken care. UPOV Convention appropriately protecting plant breeders' rights is also taken care, though it is thought to be contradictory. And many countries, including China, Brazil, all opted for EPOB, but India did not opt for EPOB. And even today, India has not opted for EPOB because of this system which is in place, and because EPOB did not adequately recognize the contribution, and now it has, to a certain extent, the contribution of the farmers. And so Convention of Biological Diversity, provisions on conservation and sustainable use of plant genetic resources, particularly that part of biodiversity, that's also taken care and all integrated, all taken together in the form of Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act. So it encompasses plant breeders' rights, also at the same time the farmers' rights as well as the researchers' rights. So I'll not really describing the whole act because time will not permit, because it's already 4:34, and quickly take you through some of the aspects of this act, and then taking you towards the stimulations that you should provide to more investment for R&D in seed sector. So it certainly provides a very effective system for protection of plant varieties as well as farmers' rights. So that's the kind of take-home message for those who are not familiar with. And very importantly, which is highlighted there in red, is to protect plant breeders' rights, to stimulate investment. In fact, it is enshrined in the act itself in its objective that this protection of plant breeders' rights is to stimulate investment for R&D in the seed sector, for development of new varieties. So what we are discussing today was thought about in 2001, and that was enshrined in the very objective of this particular Indian Act. And that's the reason why this should be the model act for the global community to look into and actually adopt, and to recognize the farmers' contributions with regard to the conservation and the selection that they have been doing for generations, and and their role in development of new plant varieties. And the last point you must notice, that to facilitate the growth of seed industry. So in fact, this is there very much in the objective of the act, that to promote seed industry and its activities. And what extent it is doing that, was doing, that's a different issue. But that is where we have to talk to industry, partner with industry, be with industry, work with industry, not just be with the farmers. So we have to work with both. And that's the kind of important balancing act we have to do and continue doing. And they are the kind of different activities of these and provisions. Sorry, we can go back. Yes. And so these are the kind of things we have been doing, and these are all mentioned, provisioned in the act. Plant breeders' rights are there, farmers' rights, researchers' rights, community rights, and also there is this provision for gene fund. And gene fund supports farmers for their conservation, and also rewards and awards farmers so that they continue doing what they have been doing instead of discouraging them. Because in times to come, there would not be anybody to do that activity. If that stops, so obviously the natural evolution would stop. Who is there to really, grow them on farm and give us adaptive changes? Benefit sharing was mentioned. What extent, those who have been conserving can be actually rewarded. compulsory licensing if somebody who has registered is not producing seed, and how we can actually take the seeds out of our gene bank, which is there. Gene bank provision is there. You can see national gene bank, field gene bank for perennials, and how we can take out from there and then multiply and provide seeds to the farmers if the variety is in great demand. If the license holder, or rather certificate holder, registration, whatever whose has been granted is not really doing the job. Of course, we need to do a whole lot of other things, look into provide for infringements and offenses being made and penalties to be in place. And what extent we are being able to enforce, that's a different issue. But there are concerns. And then convention country agreements. We have not entered into any convention country. Any country wishes to come forward and be with us and share our provisions in the act, and most welcome. And we can discuss and then see how we can harmonize, and then the variety which is registered in your country, and it can be accepted as such here instead of testing further. And then our varieties here can be actually accepted in your country, and we can save time, resources, and all that. And the convention country agreements are important, and that can be actually deliberated. I have not really brought everything because that itself would be a lecture, and my colleagues maybe day after tomorrow would have a presentation on all this. And creating testing centers, and this is the job of this authority. So that is being done, and more than 170 centers are there where the crop varieties are tested, and finally the certificates are issued. There's a elaborate provision on farmers' rights, various aspects of it. Access to seed, the most important one. The farmers can save the seeds of any registered variety, whether it is done by a private company or anybody, public institution or another farmer. So they have the right to save and use, reuse, share and sell, but not brand it while marketing. So that is the kind of right which is given to the farmer. You might be wondering, this set of provisions should hinder the growth of seed industry, but that has not really happened. Seed industry is growing, and you have been seeing the data, the how seed industry is growing in this country. Seed replacement rate is increasing. Now mention was made, it's about 50%, and we should go beyond. And it is growing and increasing. And so farmers can register their own variety, just like a breeder. So they are recognized as a breeder, equal right. So they can register their own variety. And they are supposed to be awarded for their own conservation work which they have been doing, selection work what they are doing. And that's what has been provisioned through the gene fund I was mentioning. And as a compensation, if your variety which you claim that will give 10 tons, and a set of package of practices are provided, and under the same set of package of practices and growing conditions, if it doesn't perform, and there is demand and claim which is to be verified, and then you have to pay compensation. And of course, benefit sharing. If the farmer's material is used in your varietal development, and your variety is registered, and farmers claims or anybody claims that his material has been used, so there has to be benefit sharing. And community rights are there. I'll not go into details of each one of these. Compulsory license I have briefly explained, and farmers are exempted from all fees. They don't have to pay anything. So not a single paisa. So they are free. So that's the reason why farmers' variety registration is increasing. But we have a huge diversity and protection of innocent imprisonment. If there is innocent imprisonment and there is proof of that, farmers cannot be penalized. And prior authorization for the commercialization of essentially derived varieties. So if there is essentially derived variety, which is, the initial variety is a farmer's variety, or the donor is also farmer's variety, so that also to be, taken into account. So this is briefly the kind of total provision of farmers, rights. And this is the important one that farmer can save, use, sow, re-sow, exchange, share, or even sell his farm produce, including seed of a protected variety. So don't be afraid of this. So this is not hindering the trade. And however, the farmers are not entitled to sell seeds of registered variety in branded manner. So large scale sale and branding that at their own or, differently, so they can't do that. So the definition of branding also indicated there. So that is, taken care. And this is the gene fund which has been created, and this is helping farmers, to be rewarded, and also the support for their conservation, in the form of, financial help, and for their infrastructure, the storage structures, all that. So we have recently brought this, sorry, a part is missing, but this is about gene fund and support to farmers for conservation, and community seed bank system, so that farmer system continues, and giving us sources of resistance to new races of the pathogen, and giving us high nutritional value for new varieties of crops. So it is already 4:44. Let me finish it up. So we have rewarded almost, rather 202 of farmers so far. 1 million Indian rupees to 5 farmers each year. Maximum 5 farmers, whatever comes, and plant genome saver farmer reward. 10 of them, about 150,000 Indian rupees, and plant genome saver farmer recognition, about 100,000 Indian rupees, 20 of them each year. And, a very stringent selection criteria is applied, and then not these many are getting rewards every year, but 202 of them have been so far rewarded. And of course, we register not only new varieties, we also register extant varieties. This is again a wonderful provision which you may not find in many other country provisions of similar kind of act which have been enacted. And UPOV also doesn't have each one of those. Notified varieties under Seeds Act 1966, farmers varieties which are being registered here in India, and a variety of common knowledge, and also essentially derived varieties. So all these are also being registered, through these provisions of the Act. And there are guidelines, rules, how to test them and how to really register them. Very briefly, a study of distinctness, uniformity, and stability, which is done as it is done globally, and centers are there, through largely the state agriculture universities and Indian ICR institutes, Indian Council of Agriculture Research institutions, and also other organization institutions where these centers are located. They had identified designated centers, and then there the tests are conducted, and then the registration happens if it is found satisfactory. And of course, they are published in Plant Variety Journal. I mentioned about Plant Variety Journal. We invite any objection to the kind of claims made, and then if there is any, then we address those before registration is granted. And so these are the kind of criteria which is applied to novelty. We have now about 204 of them, by 2025, which are notified in different crop species that we are registering plant varieties. By end of this year, we will have about 214 of them. And you can register, apply for registration of varieties in these crops, and they are all notified, and they are there in our website. You can look at it and then apply for this to obtain intellectual property protection for your own varieties, and you have been doing. You have been an important partner, and those who are from outside India, and I know their varieties, your varieties are also being protected. And so this is the kind of applications we received, more than 20,000 so far, starting from 2007 onwards. And there was a spot 2014, 15, 16, 17, rather 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And a large number of varieties, particularly farmers varieties, were obtained. And I know, of course, we had to reject large number of them because they were not appropriately done. But nevertheless, these were received. And recently we have started in increasing this number, 2024, 25, this year, these 2 years. And this is the kind of registration that has been done of plant varieties. We were having a very slow pace of operation. And there, the industry and all applicants were disappointed with the pace of development which was happening there, particularly pace of registration. And so in recent times, 2023 onwards, you can see the pace of registration and protection of crop varieties happening in India. And we are next to China, and China registers thousands of more than 10,000 varieties per year. And we are studying the system, although there is not much available in public domain. We're trying to understand how they are doing, whether they are doing elaborate testing or they are following some other route for registration. And we would be happy to get inputs from any one of you if you can provide us how China is registering 10,000 varieties per year. So this is the kind of main slide that granting protection and quickly and clearing the all pending cases. When I joined in 2023 April, there are more than 7,000 cases pending, and today it is 0. And only 2-3 years material is there with us. And so everything can happen. You all are working at a higher level, at managerial level. You know what management principles you should apply to create such a situation. And very importantly, 50% are farmers varieties, about 5,000 of them. It's nothing. This country is so rich. Huge kind of diverse material is there in farmers' field. And if we don't save them, and if we don't document them, along with their technical, rather traditional knowledge, we will be losing them. And many are being lost every year. Huge number are getting lost. And we need to really accelerate this. And this is one aspect which we are focusing on. Private sector now, is coming up in a big way, thanks to all of you. And you are coming forward to register your own varieties, and 30% of them, those who are registered belong to you. And hopefully you are happy and satisfied with this pace of work. And certainly we are going to facilitate it further. And you will see towards end what all we are doing to facilitate this further. Public sector is slow, and Dr. D.K. Yadav and we are discussing how we can accelerate this. And though in proportionate wise, public sector varieties are not really rejected as much. For instance, public sector, 2,797 applications and 1,999, about 2,000, little more than 2,000 is registered. And so rejection is less because they come through the tested system of AICRP and mostly, and that's the reason why rejection is less. But if you see, the private sector material is also getting rejected, though it comes through a also very tested system. And the farmers' varieties, large number of them are getting rejected because the forms are not filled properly, the kind of issues are there. Seeds are not received in appropriate quantity. So there are issues. The farmers are not really very much informed adequately. So that's the reason why there's a need to really reach to the farmers, reach out to them so that they are informed adequately. And so this is the kind of situation prevailing at this point in time. And certainly we are getting applications from other countries through, of course, attorneys and your representatives here. And you can see USA, Netherlands, and Belgium, France. They are the countries from where we are receiving applications. And of course, a majority of them cereals, and of course, fiber crops and fruits, and then of course, not much of fiber crops, but fruits and vegetables. They are the major ones: cereals, fruits, and vegetables. So there are plenty of opportunity for the varieties from other countries entering India. And there is actually a rush now. In fact, in many fruit trees, we don't have actually guideline, and we are planning for that and facilitating more of that. And you can see that how recent focus, earlier it was mostly cereals. Now we are actually not only receiving applications, we are also registering fruits, vegetables, more of them, legumes. They were lagging behind, and not only more application, there's also more registration happening. So this is the kind of scenario which has been built. As I said, many times I emphasize that this act has done an excellent balancing job and to promote agricultural production in this country, supporting farmers and also supporting industry, and supporting formal system and supporting informal system, and putting them together so that the seed sector grows and seed sector flourishes, and the requirements of this country are met, requirements of future of agriculture is adequately addressed, because you can't neglect that component of the our seed sector. IP is respected. IP of private sector is respected. IP of farmers are also respected. So that's what is the message from this. And our seed sector is growing. And you can see the CAGR, it has been mentioned, 10 to 12%, Rao Saab mentioned, and 2020 and 2031, where you would like to go. But our contribution in global scale is very little. 2%, we would like to make it 10%. When I was DG, I said that we should make it 5% at least. And aspiring up to 10%, share of 10% of the global seed trade it's a tall order, of course, but there is opportunity. Mention was made about the vegetable seed. Dr. Jaising, excellent presentation, South-South collaboration. As the opportunity, meeting the seed needs. We have 15 agroclimatic zones. Why not? The global, CAGR, you can see the global food demand is there. It's growing. So obviously, seed is the main contributor to the agricultural production through productivity growth, through resilience, through nutrition value, to all that, input use efficiency, water saving, and whatnot. Everything is there through seed. Why not to really, put our efforts together? And IP protection should be crucial and would be crucial in this context. This is just to have a comparison. How, if you see that since the beginning of 2001, when this act came into existence, and subsequent to that, how seed sector growth has, the production scenario has changed. And production scenario across crops, I have taken only few of them, cereals and pulses. But you will see in these 25 years, the production increase has happened. And very significantly, it has happened. There are many contributors and drivers of this change. And of course, IP protection is one of those. I will not say IP protection has contributed alone, but IP protection is one of those, drivers of this change that you see that, we have been able to achieve. And the mention was made that, growth of 5%. It's not easy, the agriculture sector growing during past 10 years. Of course, quality seed was mentioned. That's the theme of this Congress, and how important it is that their availability, and this has been made available. And IP protection has its own contribution, and there are other factors, as I said, the government policy and your own involvement and engagement in various ways, and of course, the public system, private system, and contributing immensely to this development in India. And the certified seed production system, again, is doing excellent job, but slowly it is declining. Private sector truthful level seed segment is increasing. And if you see, mention was made about hybrids. And Dr. Rajbi, Dr. Rao, and others did mention about the hybrid seed sector. And you see the example of a cotton. And IP protection in case of cotton, and also in case of maize, has contributed to this development, and particularly the hybrids in these two crops. So that is the kind of IP that can lead to the agricultural productivity growth and production growth and area expansion and so on and so forth. And obviously, investment is happening in seed sector because of this. And rather, this is the driver of this, that how production productivity is happening, area expansion is happening because of new varieties which are protected. And so these are all examples. I'll not really go into details because time is running out, but these are all important. The point has been already made by previous speakers, but this is important. And also export, because if you want to have more investment, why more investment has to come? Number one, investment has to be there. If investment is there, there has to be IP protection. If IP protection is there, then there is exclusivity with regard to the market or segment. If there is a bigger market segment for a good product which is IP protected, certainly there will be more returns. If there is more return, obviously there will be higher investment in R&D. So back to again investment. So it's a full circle, starting with investment in IP and protecting IP leading to a bigger market share with a better product and a good product profile. And once that is satisfied and there is a greater demand domestically and globally, so obviously there is more return. And you say at least 5% of your resources are being invested in R&D, I am sure, once there is more return, there will be higher investment in R&D. So the circle is complete, and I believe that is how IP protection is going to further stimulate growth, and seed sector is here to grow. CAGR 10 to 12%, and certainly we are going to have more growth, and IP would play its part. And how do we do this? If we say that global seed segment and we would reach, our share should reach 10%, and you have a role to play. And mention was made about the northern Indian plains with a cool climate and producing seeds and exporting to say Europe or other areas, to Africa, for instance. And certainly the global demand can be met appropriately and adequately, and the seed sector would grow. And very importantly, the seed replacement rate is increasing. In case of pulses, when we, Dr. D.K. Yadav and me, were planning at the ICAR, that pulses, it was less than 10%. Pulses revolution happened, more than 10 million tons of production of pulses. The 15 to 16 million ton we are producing, and now we are 26, 27 million tons. 1 year we had jump of 6 million tons. And all this happened because new varieties reached the farmers. Seed replacement rate increased. Seed replacement rate in many pulses, it is more than 35%. In some cases, more than 50, 55%. So this is increasing. It's not that farmers are confined to their own seeds. That segment is okay. We need to support. But at the same time, this is also happening. So higher seed replacement rate means it's a vibrant seed sector. And you have a role to play and support farmers. This is all for farmers. Private is not working in isolation. It is working for farmers. Seed production, it is for farmers. But when grain production through farmers, certainly through higher productivity, they are also gaining. They have a better market, so they are also gaining. So these are all to be highlighted, whether hybrid or otherwise OP varieties. So this is how we can enable the seed sector, and in the process, have IP enabling this. And there are beautiful examples. And then this global impact of PVP, you take the European Union example, that European Seed Association has studied this, that the plant breeders' rights led to 60% increase in private R&D investment in seed development from 2000 to 2000, rather 2000 to 2020. So during this period. So this is a clear indication that IP protection would lead to more resources, more investment happening, and certainly as it is enshrined in the Indian PPVFR Act 2001, that IP protection would certainly, it is already stimulating, and it would certainly stimulate more investment in R&D in years to come. And there are examples before us. Not only that would help area expansion, that would help productivity increase, that would help increase in production, and also, it's already 5 o'clock, I don't want to spend more time, and so I can keep on doing. And we are trying to have greater facilitation. We have issuance of origin numbers you must be receiving. The day you submitted application, same day you are receiving the acknowledgement. Not a PVP number, origin number 6 months later, that is all abandoned. And pendency is reduced. 10 years, pending task is done. Nothing is pending. And doing away with compound registration, that was a bigger bottleneck to your hybrid registration. That's all done away with. Special traits, Rao Saab mentioned in the morning, is there as a member in the committee to revisit the provisions of the act, to bring amendment, suggest amendment rather. And we are discussing that certainly, in addition to DUS characters, the special characteristics are important, and the varieties must be tested for them as they are claimed. And very importantly, DNA must be an important component of our testing process. And if we do this, infringement cases would be bare minimum. There would be deterrence to infringe upon others' IP protected material. So that's what we are doing, building DNA databases and including DNA in our testing process. So reducing time for registration and bringing in the provisions of provisional protection till you get the certificate, registration certificate. So it will be also provisionally protected, and that is almost done, and hopefully it will be notified soon. And making the whole process online and bringing clarity to EDB registration process, and bringing new crops, because many new crops, for instance, blueberry, for instance, many crops are entering India and they are being cultivated. We like to have new crops included and help you as quickly as possible, not waiting 2 years to develop those guidelines, but adopting whatever guideline is available anywhere in the world, UPOB or elsewhere, and maintaining, reducing registration fee, or rather rationalizing registration fee and maintenance fee. That is a committee which is looking into it, and providing extension time window, creating awareness, particularly for the police, for the law enforcing agencies, the advocates, the legal experts, so that the enforcement is improved. And that is very, very important and critical for this act to operate and support you adequately. Amendment in act, the committee is looking into. Any suggestions you can write us, and then create courses so that your people are helped and informed and supported. So that is what we are planning, and we would go for more than 50% SRR. And if we countries attempting, and already in many crops it is there, And if it is increasing, so obviously seed sector will be far more vibrant and would have greater opportunity to contribute to productivity increase and production increase. Seed quality would improve and all that would be enabled and expand these kind of crops, climate resilient particularly, and digital system. Many things has been talked about. The seed traceability system, blockchain technology, how to use, and certification transparency brought in the process, and global seed export hub. I'm sure you have already talked about, and I have also talked about, and that's fine. But variety protection should lead to higher investment. That's our expectation. And of course, we are realizing this to a certain extent, but this has to expand. And emerging technology, mention was made by Dr. Rao, that gene editing technologies, and there has to be more investment by you all who are sitting here. Investment already is happening in public system, and you must be already doing, and this investment will bring rich dividends. There is a lot more to discuss. That could be only one presentation on use of AI in gene editing, how we use AI in machine learning in gene editing. And that is what is very, very important. And and in fact, blockchain also in traceability. So all that is important. Investment is so crucial. We are here to protect your IP. We are here to protect your IP. I can assure you in shortest possible time. We are going to reduce the time required further in years to come. And thank you very much, friends, for your kind attention and for your patience. I stop here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahapatra. Very comprehensive and very enlightening presentation. I think the last slide spoke a lot, I would say. A lot of things that are being done for the seed sector, and very encouraging to see the initiatives on PPFR, especially on the EDVs, genome editing, and also the traceability of seeds. So, okay, I'd like to invite all the speakers to come up to the stage for a group photo, please. Thank you so much.
May I request Ajay and Francine to join on the stage?
So I would like to thank all the participants for their patience and listening. So we close this session now. Tomorrow we'll assemble here again at 9 a.m. and we have a very good, interesting discussion about how to make India as a hub for global seed production. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow at 9.